FURIA will get 2 points, or alternatively, INTZ could get the win here on Oregon, and then it will be 1 point apiece.
All right. Well, the bans are already starting to come in for this one. Of course, it's going to be the first time we get to see Oregon here in Stage 2, a map that really was sort of standard home territory the whole way through the first stage of BR6. It was played so much and it had so much of a meta shift slowly throughout the season. Defense was a big talking point the entire way through, and it's where we saw a lot of the rosters shine their brightest. So going to be keeping my eyes on INTZ coming out first into this one.
INTZ will be on the defense, as you say. Yes, it was defender-sided previously, particularly for LATAM, but what we should see over time is as teams get more comfortable here, we should see that attacker win rate going up, because ultimately with the new map, there is generally an advantage to the defenders because they just need to figure out where to put the reinforcements, where the attackers, they need to work out how to break down that utility and how to react, how to have a plan B and a plan C, whereas the defenders, they're always setting up exactly what they want to do based on hours and hours of research that they've put into the map previously. So generally speaking, we do see that have an impact. But now that we're getting into Stage 2, I would expect to see the attackers coming in just a little bit more prepared and a little bit more ready for exactly what they are going to face. And FURIA, they certainly need a strong start here. They need to come in and get themselves at least 2 rounds here on the attack. 3 would be great. INTZ, they're going to be looking to shut them down as much as possible.
Okay. Well, the conclusion of this exciting series between FURIA and INTZ. Also the continuation of, hopefully, the beautiful starting performances that we saw coming out of Novice and Lender. They together looked like a great asset to FURIA. If they can keep that up and do the same sort of play here on Oregon and it works into their favor, then for me that is going to be a big aspect to look towards, especially now coming out on their attack. Novice this time around has gone with a Thatcher pick. Obviously it was Zofia that was really working for him last time around, so I'm going to be having a look to see if that does aid him.
I mean, it's no real surprise, Jackie, if we look back at the stats for last stage. Miracle and BMH, both under 100 kills. Berserk Fred highs all above 125. So it just shows that there was this gulf between BMH and Miracle and the rest of the team. So to see them exit and players like Novice come in, it is surely going to have a big impact. Like I say, you know, is this going to be a good team or is it going to be a great team? That will all come down to how well all the players gel. But results like they have just seen is going to help them to gel massively, because you know what? When teams win, they are happy. And when players are happy, they start having fun. And that is when you start really gelling and just having that chemistry and that bit of banter with each other. And it will really start to show in the matches.
Oh, mate, I mean, how much did we talk about it last season in the sense of, like, obviously just gassing up your teammates, having a bit of fun on TeamSpeak in between those rounds, really enjoying those high tims and just feeding off of it. You got to play with the emotions. In a game like Siege especially, if you can get your head in the game and you can get your confidence just through really absolutely giving it on the server when it comes to your performance, then do so. Ride that high. It was going to help you in the long run in game.
We can see the Clash playing at the bottom of the freezer stairs there. So when attacking onto the laundry or basement sites here on Oregon, there are quite a few different options. There is no one-size-fits-all to attacks here. So you can push onto freezer, which we can see hatch has been opened and they're trying to deal with that Clash, just using the utility to try and force Drunks away, which has been successful to a degree and has pushed him all the way back to the entry into site. Now also you can push from rear stage and bunker, try and take control of the pillar area and work in towards site from there. And alternatively, there are of course the laundry steps that everybody will be familiar with from old Oregon as well. They've been there for the longest time and they are still in place, but not used anywhere near as frequently as the bunker and freezer entrances.
So, we haven't had a casualty just yet in this round. It's about 35 seconds left to work with brilliant use of the smoke cans, being saved for quite a large period of time. And Fred, Ooh, he's overstepped the mark there, timing that a little bit incorrectly with the peak coming out. Goes into it, takes so many deep breaths of it, and it's really started to plague his lungs, leaving him down to about, what, 10 HP there? A near miss coming over with a nitro as well. That will whiz in. Fres at this point cheating death. I don't know how he's been able to starve while falling down to the ground for so long, but they're finding frags across the board. It all goes down to one man on duds. The last man left alive in a 1 versus 3. They're going to charge their way in. They'll pick him off. Novice will get the frag, and FURIA make it work.
FURIA knew exactly where the last man was there. There'd been a clear call out that he was in the closet, and he was shut down summarily from there. Nice and easy for FURIA. Good attack. They got themselves onto Laundry Stairs, got themselves into Freezer, controlled both areas, and then used the crossfire established to create a plant opportunity for Bursa. But ultimately, there wasn't enough time for him to even get it down because the kills, they just started to rain in. Because ultimately, INTZ on the defense, they had to do something at that point. They had to try and push forward, and ultimately that just created a bigger risk for them.
Scary stuff there as a first round. Fred as well. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he was able to take sustained damage time and time again, but he kept himself alive and kicking, and in the end it was the rest of INTZ that went down screaming there to the Nether Realm, dropping the first round. So a good pick up for FURIA on the attack. A brilliant way to continue on, off the hype, of course, of the previous map on Consulate. They're going to be content with that. Novice as well, obviously getting the 2 frags there. We had Highs coming in with 2 of his own. That's solid stuff so far.
Now, what do INTZ need to do differently downstairs? The difficulty for them on the defense is the unpredictability of the attack here. So previously we saw it come in from the Laundry Stairs, which are bottom right of your screen, and the Freezer Stairs bottom left, and that was where all the attention came from. But there is certainly still that option of coming in through construction into bunker, which we now see towards the top of your screen and the left-hand side rear stage. Get control of that area, so there is a complete switch up possible for the attack where they go in and get control of meeting, open up the hatch there and try to push in through the electrical room to get the diffuser down, and that completely puts INTZ on the back foot once again because they will be planning for what they've seen last time around. They are going to certainly want to keep FURIA out of Freezer because once they got in there, Novice was an absolute menace, getting up on top of those counters and just raining shots in towards site, basically cutting site in half and being a big part of the reason why Bursa was able to get in and potentially look at putting that diffuser down. So INTZ, they need to control the push better. They can't give up Freezer if that's where the push comes from. The Clash was killed reasonably early and it just gave FURIA too much ground. They need to get in there, win themselves a few gunfights.
You've got to get those picks on the board. You can't afford to not hit those shots, not be able to make the first move into these rounds. Doesn't matter if it's a 5v5, of course, it's not going to help if when they do finally capitalize, you all fall apart piece by piece like a large collection of dominoes that have been put far too close together on a strong, windy day. Hopefully the rest of the game isn't going to be too windy for INTZ though, and they can hit their shots going forward. They certainly know how to use the other elements to their advantage, as it's a bit of a shocker towards the stairway. Lender, effectively at this point, he is just tanking it, trying to go for the info plate, spotting out that the Clash is still there, and bit by bit he is dropping HP and leaving it on the floor.
Speaking of dominoes, I do love a good domino rally, Jackie. They always impress me. You know where you set up like a, you know, you can see them on the internet. You set up like massive patterns on the floor and then just knock one and watch them all go off, and they're going up and down levels, and it's a bit like a roller coaster. I'm all about them. I absolutely love them. I love the detail.
A bit like a Wallace and Gromit intro, something along the lines of that.
Absolutely, I'm there for it.
Oh mate, it's always good fun. It is quite enjoyable. It's like, you ever seen the Marble Olympics?
I've never seen that, but yeah. I'm instantly interested.
Oh mate, as you should be.
You captured me.
It's like the normal Olympics, just with marbles.
Sold.
Hopefully, we'll see this round being sold to the biggest bidder between FURIA and INTZ into this one. As right now, Tim, they are running low on time, but they've still got a lot of resources. Oh, they've also got some jammy players. Novice with a sickening opener, and he is hungry for more. Fueled with aggression off the back of that. The bloodlust is coming out as he is slaughtering his way through everyone in front of him. Picks up another man. The clash is going to back into him, but luckily makes the adjustment with a shield. Won't matter though as he turns the corner, breaks the face of VNX, and Drunks goes down. Sick round from FURIA.
Honestly, right now, I feel like Novice has just, not just here on Oregon, but Consulate as well, has just completely and utterly broken the spirits of INTZ. Single-handedly. Novice is having an absolute, he's on a tear today. There is no two ways about it. Just his reactions there, the beautiful one tap and then moves through, gets a great kill on the Cade. He's just unstoppable. He's an absolute wrecking ball at the minute. Just absolutely being smashed through sights and picking up kill after kill on the way. And he is a pleasure to watch. Look, I could watch that all day, Jackie. Look at the zoom. Thank you, production. Look at that.
That's just mad.
Horrible.
It is just mad. It really, really clean shot. And the whole round as well, right? It's not even as if it was just a small pop off him, a small reaction shot. He got that, and then he went, right, that's it. I'm popping the heroism. I am sprinting in. I am the raid boss. And he just shut down everyone on the site. Beautiful reactions the whole way through, finishing the kill and then going on to get another one in the bag as well, and distracting the clash so that there was a push that could come up to aid them. Big rounds on the board here already on Oregon, especially on their attack.
Heading up to dorms then, INTZ will try to switch things up. So again, give you a little bit of an idea about what you might see here. There's two particularly important areas left and right of your screen as we look at it. On the right hand side, you've got the wall through to the attic now up at the top, and then opposite that at the bottom end of your screen was the master bedroom, and it's about getting in, opening up that attic wall to apply some pressure from that side of sight and to keep the defenders looking in that direction, and then give them the old switch. Open up that master closet wall, and that is ultimately where you are looking to ingress into sight and get the diffuser down. Generally in game room is where you will be aiming for, somewhere thereabouts, but it's important that pressure comes into attic, because otherwise the man playing in attic can very easily hold down that game room from the single door, can just make plenty of quick little peeks and make an absolute nuisance of himself.
FURIA, past two rounds have been super nicely executed. If they can do that once again and get a solid 3 rounds out here in the half, at that point, you've nearly already won your opening half against INTZ on the defense. VNX, though, on the Wamai, attempting to stop the onslaught. Basically, a barrel of concussions that has been opened up and poured towards him by the bridge. Drone getting up close and personal will be able to relay a bit of information over. Also, the Thatcher obviously just going to chuck out that EMP to clear out any devices or gadgets that were in the effective area. We do have a bit of a tag back onto Lender. He's dropped quite low. Other than that, there hasn't been too much gained off of this. Just the map control and just forcing back the players from INTZ.
Ultimately, once the push comes in, it will be useful for FURIA that Lender is not able to... Sorry, not Lender. That they've forced them out of attic, basically. Lender taking that damage there is not the end of the world, because it is important to get that attic cleared out. Now, shut down from the window through the barricade. Vitz will get the kill onto Novice, and that is the new talisman of FURIA being taken down there. Bursa will trade it out with one onto Drunks. That's the Malusi off the board, and that now leaves us in a 4 versus 4. 55 seconds left to go, and FURIA need to get themselves moving now. We can see the pings coming out. Information is raining in, and I think he knows that he's got Vitz down here with him with that nitro in hand on the Goyo, but Fred so far unable to find his man.
35 seconds left. 4 versus 4 here into the round so far as the push is coming up. Highs peeking his way through the broken wall, turning in piece by piece and looking to see if there is going to be an overextension from any of the INTZ player. If any of them will readjust, looking for a potential peek, and it will gift a frag over. They worm their way in, going for the close corner plant, but good use from the smoke. holding on to those. Into the late round, Alamo was able to dash one out, denying the immediate plant and really putting some panic on Bursa, but there's a trade from either side. Vitz goes down. We're also going to lose out on VNX and Duds following suit as Fred gets a 2K, but it is carnage from INTZ. The final 2 frags are found. Good cleanup there onto Lendit to shut that one down in the end, Tim, and they just deny it. Once again, the strategy of charging into the site late does not work out too well.
Part of the problem there was that Fred did not chase down Vitz. We commented on it. He couldn't find his man, and eventually he just let the Goyo slip through the net, had to push up towards site, and that was just a time factor. That's not necessarily a criticism of Fred as such, but, you know, time forced his hand to move away, and ultimately, who was it that won out the round for INTZ? It was Vitz. He moved himself up Armory stairs, got himself into the trophy room there, and was able to shut down not 1, but 2 attempts to get the diffuser on the ground. Essential plays for INTZ there, getting themselves around on the board up in dorms. They need to make that a platform now. They need to start fighting back. They're heading back to Laundry, and this is a little bit of a concern for me, Jackie, because FURIA have run over them twice down here, and I don't think that, you know, one successful round in dorms is going to be all the difference. I'd have maybe liked to see them go to dining and kitchen and just keep mixing it up and try and get another one and a bit more confidence on the, you know, under the belt before they came back here to Laundry.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the memories alone, the ghosts of your former selves in that side of him are probably not going to be too happy about the fact they have come back here once again, because they got mullered, honestly. That is quite literally the most accurate way to describe what happened to them into those rounds. They were overwhelmed, overthrown, and just grinded to a fine INTZ-based pulp. Can they change that? Are they going to be able to prevent that happening this time around? Maybe Novice isn't going to be able to pop off as much. Maybe they won't just run away with it. And yeah, hopefully they can get around out of it. The likelihood of it doesn't look great. I am liking the look of potentially this, though. Duds walking right out by the doorway. Seems like he wanted to go for the crazy play early on. Instead, it's going to be his teammate in Drunks to do that. But there is a trade. Bursa bites back and is able to bite down relatively hard, shutting down the Malusi and putting us into a 4 versus 4 with only 2 minutes and 25 seconds on the clock. So we really haven't wasted too much time into the aggressive plays in this one.
Novice being shut down in the early round twice is great for INTZ. We've already commented on how impactful he has been in this game, so getting him off the board as that opening entry death is really big for INTZ. It's just preventing not only the kills within that round that Novice might get, but it's also just taking the heat off him a little bit. He might just cool down a little bit because he's now going to have potentially 6 minutes sat plus time for preparation time. He could be well up towards 10 minutes without realistically being involved or contributing to a round, and that could well be a bit of a blip in the road for him to continue on fragging as he has been.
Like a giant pothole that has just not been fixed. You know, Tim, you go through there too fast, that's it, the tyre's coming off, you're going to break the suspension, your car's ruined at that point, it's a write-off.
You've got to get onto the authorities, Jackie. You've got to get onto them and get the crew out there, putting the tarmac down. You can't have that.
Fresh tar, fill in the hole, you know, paint over it, do something, bring attention to it. At least a cone.
It's the noise that goes through you. I ran in, you know, a traffic island. You know the little traffic islands? There was one, and its lights and reflectors and stuff had been knocked off by a car, and it was dark at night, so I didn't see it straight in the side of it, honestly. I thought I'd rip my leg off, let alone damage the car wheel.
Oh, his legs are gone. That's it. There's nothing left. The man is just a stump of his former self. And right now it seems like FURIA, they're a little bit stumped about getting into this site. Making use of the ace to at least tear down that hard wall. But they're giving themselves not too much time in this 4-on-4. VNX, what are you looking at? Where is he, Tim? They're all just peeking. They're giving him 1v1s. Linda's making a meal out of them.
Absolutely closed down by Lender on that freezer door there, and for me this is why I said that INTZ shouldn't go back to Laundry. They just don't seem to have a good grasp of defending this site, if I'm honest. They were just caught running around like headless chickens in the middle of site there. How can you not be aware of freezer door? You know that that is where the pushers come from. You cannot just run into an open line of sight. I'm sure that they've probably been forced there. You know, it's easy for me to sit here and say you shouldn't run into that line of sight. But ultimately, you know, if you run in front of freezer door, when the attackers have got control of freezer, the likelihood is you're going to get killed because somebody is going to be holding exactly this angle that we see on the replay there. you're going to have an attacker on there. You're going to have somebody looking through that line of sight because it cuts sight in half. And that not only cuts sight in half, but cut INTZ in half. Full stop. And that is the round to FURIA.
Thing is, I think we could let them off if it just was the one pick, right? But for there to be 2 frags, Tim, from the exact same angle, where it almost felt as if both of them walked out in a bit of a daydream. I don't know. I don't know about that one. That's not great. As much as it was nice play and good fancy footwork coming out from FURIA in terms of hitting the shots, INTZ really did give that one up on a platter.
Oh, 3 kills.
Yeah.
3 kills. No 2 ways about it. It's the second one for me. As you say, you know, the first one gets caught out. The Kaid gets caught out. But then Duds comes back and repeats that on the Jaeger. And he knows that a man has just died from that freezer door, and the likelihood is that he's just walking into an ADS, and that's exactly what happens, and he gets his head removed for it.
He didn't even feel like he was peeking it, like, ready for the fight either. He wasn't going into that ready for a scrap. Yeah.
And it killed the cat.
It did indeed. It did more than just kill him. It removed him from existence. His atoms have been so finely destroyed. There is no sign of him left.
We've all done it. You know, somebody gets killed and you think, oh, what angle did they get killed from? I'll just have a look at it. And, you know, you lose your life to it as well because, you know, if you really stop and think for a second, you know that you're peeking into somebody who's already holding an angle.
A rough one. But it's in the past now. All said and done. Looking forward towards the current round. Obviously here in the present we are at round 5 and it's a 3-1 split in terms of rounds overall. FURIA have been playing really solid siege up until this point for INTZ. There's a lot to be desired in a couple of these rounds. There's definitely been some big question marks, and I hope they can turn those into exclamation marks when it comes to their actual play. Alamal over here on the Rook, waiting for the early contact. He's got that open line of sight. He does have a shield to play from behind as well. If FURIA push in, good adjustment, looking up the stairway, nice little frack. Doesn't stay around too long as well, playing on the one and done angle. Instead, takes a bit of a peek from the other side through the broken wall, getting the tag off and leaving Bursa quite low. He's going to run out of there, but not before he chucks out one of those Selma canisters to try and take down the hard wall.
Better start from INTZ, but Lender ultimately will be able to clear Alamau out of showers, and that is when things get dicey on a dining room defense, because this is exactly what happens. The pressure starts to mount once showers possession is lost. Highs gets in with a kill, and that is now going to leave us 4 versus 3 in favour of FURIA, and INTZ once again find themselves on the back foot. We can see Vitz just rotating himself through kitchen there, trying to find any angle that he can onto these attackers. Lender, he's just going to hold on to that line of sight for the time being and just prevent that movement from the defenders, and out comes another Selma device to clear out that wall, and that is going to start freeing up the plant spot. We can see the smoke canisters coming out now, and in goes Bursa to get that diffuser down. Toxic Babe canister comes out, but into the wrong location. Vitz is unaware of exactly where this plant is going down. Bursa will be successful, and INTZ are seriously on the back foot as Fred takes out Duds, Highs takes out Vids, 4 versus 1, and this is all down to Drunks now. He finds his first, 3 more to go, and only 24 seconds left to achieve that, to leave him time to disable the diffuser. The difficulty he's got is that these defenders now, the attackers were on multiple angles. Lender, it will be ultimately shutting Drunks down. Another round to FURIA there. Novice, he's been sat on the sidelines for about 15 minutes now, but it just doesn't seem to be having any impact on FURIA whatsoever.
It doesn't matter. The rest of the team's playing really well. They're hitting their shots. They're playing with confidence. They're just charging in, and oh, it's rough as well, because that seemed like a round that could have been going their way. Alamal gets first contact, clean pick, backs off after doing so much damage as well, and leaving them in an awkward position when they push in. Then as soon as he goes down, it felt like it was the bottom brick of a Jenga tower that had been pulled out, and the whole thing just collapsed him.
It's the showers control. As soon as the showers control is lost, Jackie, that's exactly what you generally see, because there is vertical angles potentially to hold down dining, but generally speaking, once you get into showers, you can push into corridor just above it, sort of around the bottom of White Stairs area where there's a door that leads in towards kitchen. And once you've got that, there's no defenders can push forward into dining to make any realistic challenge. So you're stuck to 2 things, and that's long angles from kitchen and vertical angles potentially from the dorms if you've got somebody in main dorms. But even then, it's a very difficult pixel peak to hold, and you are hoping for the planter to go into the right place for you to be able to make a challenge onto it. And when something like smoke canisters are then employed, it just gets doubly difficult. And FURIA, full advantage of that. Great attack from them. They recognised the importance of showers, got in there, cleared it out, and got the diffuser down. Perfect round.
Yeah, no, really, really solid play. Overall, looking to actually be quite a solid 2-0 win here if FURIA keep this up as well. If they can get both maps off this after already winning on Consulate, with that being the 7-5, you're going to be laughing your way to the bank, because at that point, obviously from the games we've had played, with it being a 1-map win, 1-map draw so far tonight for Team 1 in our first series, that means that FURIA would be at the top of the pops immediately. Obviously it doesn't mean too much as it is only the first play day, but it's always good to assert dominance as quickly as you can. And for FURIA, they seem to have taken that to a whole new level here on Oregon. It's been super clean. They've been stepping up to the mark, and there needs to be a change soon from INTZ. This could potentially be that change. Dud seems like he was actually walking into an early encounter, but doesn't hang around too long. Backs up. Ooh, and when he does peek into it, it's not going to work out ideally for him. The lacerations hitting him there as he is now very low.
The thing is for FURIA, you've got to look at it and say that 3 points on the board is absolutely huge for them, Jackie. It's not something that they managed to achieve last season. So coming out and doing that in the first play day, this is a team that finished bottom last time around. They are fighting hard to keep themselves away from the relegation battle that will be coming. You know, that is the position that we're in at the end of stage 2. Obviously, normally speaking, we will have a full 3-stage rotation in a full yearly season, but that has not been the case this time out because of the transition from the old program to the new. We only have 2 stages. So at the end of the second stage, that is the point where we will be looking at relegations for those challenger teams coming forward. And FURIA, having been bottom of stage 1, they don't want to be there again. They don't want to be having to fight in those matchups to keep their position. And coming in with 3 points to begin with is absolutely massive. That is as many points, Jackie, as they scored in the entirety of the last stage, secured on the very first play day.
Oh, it's huge. It is enormous for them. And hopefully it's going to be a big confidence boon going forward to tell them that this new roster is doing wonders for them already. But someone else that needs to do something wonderful is Alamau. If he wants a chance for INTZ to get back into the game, he needs to hit some shots. But unfortunately, it doesn't matter if he does, as the rest of his teammates are dying all around him. Vitz comes through, though. Clean clinical stuff. Switching over to the secondary. But the shotgun, so big in stature, Tim, it blocks out the angle. He couldn't actually see that he had pushed up close towards the shield, finds the frag, dropping us back down into a 2 versus 2 with 15 seconds left to go. Bursa dashes out the Selma device to clear out the hard wall. Highs is going to rotate back around, coming in towards the site. There is a player right on the close corner, ready for him, but misses, choking away the initial shot, dropping it down into a 1v1. Bursa, you got to hit the shot. You don't have a diffuser. He's got to find a frag, Tim.
So close. So close, Jackie. Bursa getting in there without diffuser in hand. Knew he had no choice but to put the man down. And that was fractions of seconds the difference between winning and losing that round. Bullets were flying. His aim looked good, but the clock ultimately ticked down before he could do enough damage to the remaining defender to put him in the dirt and to get the round on the board. 4-2 it is on the half, but FURIA, boy, did they feel solid at the minute in this one. I honestly think that they are cruising towards 3 points here on the defense. I think this is going to be a tough job for INTZ now.
That's wild. That's an absolutely ridiculous round. The amount of twists and turns. The fact they are just sticking to their guns with this style of play. Oh, all right. We'll leave that to where it is, though. We'll move on from it now. It is the end of the first half. We're going into the second half here based off the side switch. So FURIA, from their crazy, ridiculously late round attacks, they're now being stuck on the defense, where they can hold angles, where they just need to starve off the incoming aggression of INTZ that have now been plopped into the attacking side. For me, looking immediately back over towards Duds on the Ash, this is where I feel like if he's going to wake up and come into his own in the series, he's got to do it right here, right now in round 7.
That's exactly it. You know, if these INTZ players are now going to have an impact, now is the time. they can't be letting rounds slip from here, because if this gets on to 5, FURIA are then 1 round away from guaranteeing themselves 2 points, which is a massive start for them to begin with. But at that point as well, with what we've seen so far, I have to imagine that there's another couple of sites on this map that they can find wins on defensively. So, yeah, they need to come out strong here. They need 2 or 3 rounds on the bounce. They really need to just sort of propel themselves into the lead and let FURIA really think about the sort of fight that they're involved in.
I think FURIA as well, like we've seen, their style of play is the fact that they work really well if they're able to make full use of the time. They don't give a damn about executing literally down to the last possible wire when it comes to those last minute executions, where they're planting with that grace period to get the diffuser down. So on your defense, if you have that level of patience, that level of reserve to hold an angle, wait for INTZ to mess up, wait for INTZ to make those opening moves, you can just hit your shots, you can rely on your gun skill, which we know is through the roof for FURIA. They should be able to really grab this one with both hands and run away with it here. And they don't need much more to run away with it. You've already picked up 4 rounds, you won the half. Can you just get a couple more and close it down? Take a 2-0, a gigantic 2-0 series.
The night that we have seen so far could not make me more excited at all for the remainder of this LATAM League season, Jackie, because seeing W7M and FURIA come in so strong and showing so much growth, and you know, in one case obviously a lot of work has gone in. VNX with a great shot onto Lender there just to delete him from the round, and that is going to be a big start for INTZ. But as I was saying, you know, W7M have done it one way. They've utilised their time in the break, and they've obviously put a lot of work in. They've got a new coach on board, and they've come with a new style, and it's worked really well for them. By contrast, FURIA, they've made roster changes. They've gone about it in a different way. But to see 2 of those newer teams coming through and really propelling themselves into this stage, it just makes it all the more mouth-watering.
Oh, it's been tantalising. It's been great. If this game was really described as a nice hearty meal, it would be some prime A5 Wagyu beef. It is tasty, it is rich, and it is thick with the quality of siege that has been coming out of it, Tim. For Bursa, though, how solid is going to be the cut of his jib? Because it seems like they're trying to test him. They're hoping to bait him out. They want him to overextend on the Goyo and extend out a little bit too fast so they can get another pick on the board and give themselves a gigantic lead going into the last attack towards the site. Because obviously you've got a 1 frag advantage, but you still don't have much time. They're playing the Uno reverse card and doing what FURIA was doing to them. Ooh, but there is a bite back. Novice, he hits the shot. Headshot connection onto VNX. Needed a follow-up frag, but he can't quite claim it. And they're losing manpower, but he goes on a bit of a warpath, running his way through the rotation hole, shutting down duds. They're trying to deny the diffuser being planted, but it's already too late. It has gone down, but it's a 2 versus 2. Fred and Novice, can they win their respected one-on-ones? Alamau watching the doorway. If Novice pushes, he should hit the shot. Pre-fires it though with the bait play. Drops down to the deck and it won't matter. He will die before he even hits the floor. There's the trade back as well from Vitz onto FURIA. No success this time for FURIA. INTZ will win it.
Very solid attack from INTZ there, getting the diffuser down well and just holding that post plant. It wasn't thrown down in a rush. It wasn't that they weren't prepared for it. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they had the men in position exactly as they wanted them. Alemo out in master, and then the last man on the double window. And well played from them. They closed that one out well. Novice certainly fought hard to try and get his team back into the round, but it was just a little bit too little too late, and pushing onto that single master door with Alemo on the inside of it is always going to be a difficult one. And I'm pretty sure Alemo just heard him coming, and we get another look back at that beautiful VNX headshot on to Lender it was, but then Novice, one of his own onto VNX. It was anything you can do, I can do better, and he certainly did make a good attempt at that.
Crazy stuff, and the game, of course, at this point keeps on giving as well. For FURIA, though, you wonder if it's a bit of a tilt at him. If they're going to potentially be a little bit frustrated about the fact that at least there should be one more round. You know, we should be at 5-3. We should be here in a better position. 5-2, rather. We should have won that 1 versus 1 where we got beaten by the clock. We should have won this other round. There's been so many moments for FURIA where it feels like they could have got a little bit more. Even though they've been playing really solid, the minor mistakes could come back to haunt them if INTZ close the gap and take it back to a 4-4.
Round 8 is extremely important right now in front of us, as you say. If INTZ can close it down and go 4-4, then, you know, it really is game on at that point, and it wouldn't surprise me. Once again, to see another 12 rounds, can we possibly have a maximum 48 rounds in the first 4 maps? Jackie, I've warned you about this with casting with me before. You know, I'm sure you wish somebody mentioned it before you teamed up with me, but I have a habit of seeing these games that go the distance.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It happens every time. I know you have to brief the players before a season. You know, when we told them that we were coming back on for another season of LATAM team, everyone sort of had that sigh of, God, it's going to be a lot of hours and a lot of grind, but it pays off for the viewing experience.
The unions nearly came in, Jackie.
We got a warning and everything. We got sent a letter.
About working hours. Working hours for the players. Just because we're casting it. But we are heading into the final 2 minutes of round 8. Then nothing much doing for the first minute here. We can see INTZ, they're just getting themselves into position, got control of the mid and top floors. We've got all defenders downstairs. Clash is on those freezer stairs. Versa just looking to hold things down for as long as possible. Will be reasonably successful for the time being. We can see the ADS has just been disabled there, so that is just going to leave Clash to dip away a little bit. The pressure will start to mount, of course, but can they get in and close that Clash down? It is something that FURIA did very well when on the attack, and can they learn from that? It looks right now that INTZ, they don't want any part of it, and they are moving away, and they're going to be heading into construction, but trying to hit that rotate in the middle of the round with only 1 minute 20 left to go, you're leaving yourself an awful lot to do.
What worries me about this is, again, just based off the, ooh, all right, hang on a minute, hold that thought, the nitro barely being blocked by the barrels. Oh, it was like a bit of old school Donkey Kong. Crazy stuff that opened it up, but it's not going to work out too well in terms of the opening frag. Won't be any naughty nitro plays. Instead, it'll be the main man himself, Novice, doing what he does best. Punishing the opposing team as he picks up the first frag and is able to back off, keeping himself alive on the Melusi as well, and that is critical now. If he can at least just fall back and keep himself into a position where he'll fight in the late round, that's a manpower advantage. That's them still having a 5 versus 4, especially when VNX is so low and they could nearly sneeze near him to shut him down, but he doesn't even fault him. There's the follow-up frag coming off the back of Linda with the AUG, landing the headshot onto Drunks. At this point, you have a ginormous advantage and are so close to securing yourself that 5th round. As they're in a 5 versus 1, it's all on Vitz. The Habana is a Hagona as she is trapped in a corner, being zapped up by the shield. Quick peek down to the second, beautiful follow-up, but it's not enough. It's just a couple of consolation frags at the end.
Impactless kills there from the Habana Vitz at the end. Nothing more really that could be expected of him. Just got in and did everything that he could, but ultimately Novice put them on the right foot forward from the very beginning, and when it was 5 versus 3, it's always going to be a tough attack onto the laundry site, heading into basement with no verticality available other than one hatch. It's an awfully big ask to get in there with such a disadvantage. Fitz gets himself a nice couple at the end there, as we see on the replay. He can take them away with him. I'm sure it'll give him a little bit of confidence heading into the next round, if nothing else. But, as I say, ultimately impactless as the round was largely already done. So that will allow FURIA now to head back up to dorms. They lost this last time around in round 7, but they've got an idea now of what INTZ are going to bring to the table, how that attack might go down, and with a little bit more structure to the defense, with that attack in mind, maybe FURIA can guarantee themselves a draw and 2 points right here, right now.
An important round. It's a super important game as well in terms of the grand scheme of not only the play day, but the season for FURIA. You think about how they performed last season. If they can come in, absolutely kill it, clean up here with a big result on day 1, that's going to fuel you. You're going to be so hyped as well. And it just means that it's going to be easier when you have that rest day going into Friday, when you can just take a bit of a relaxing time to look back, watch through the demos, look through those VODs, and see how you want to approach things going forward, and see just how well Novice and Lender have performed into this matchup. You're going to be really content with the decisions you've made in the downtime between stage 1 and stage 2. But It's not over yet. They still have to win those rounds. They still have to lock down this game and get that 2-0 before they can decide to switch their brains off and relax and just be content with their victory here. Because INTZ, they're not giving up. They're still keeping the game relatively close. Even the rounds they are losing are basically just going down to the wire of either a 1vx or someone messing up ever so slightly. This time around, though, they won't mess up that encounter. Vitz smashes his way in with the opening frag. Fred does trade it back, spamming out through the window with the pre-fire on the peak, and it was almost an opportunity for him to get a kill there, but it's not going to work out too well just yet.
Normally speaking, you would look at that opening kill and say that's likely to have a big impact on the round, but we've seen Novice take the entry death quite a few times so far, and it really hasn't impacted on him all that much, especially impacting on FURIA. Not too greatly, because they have been able to get forward and get the wins on the round. 4 versus 4 as Duds is taken off the board to level things up. Now we can see the Selma devices, they are doing the work on the games room wall, so that is going to be access to the site and the default plant spot. But right now we have got Highs. He's just holding himself there on a tight angle to try and make a challenge onto any potential planter that looks to move in through their INTZ. They can't get the diffuser down yet. They need another couple of kills before they try, and that is a big one to begin with. Bursa taken down on the Valkyrie. Smoke utility coming out, and there is the potential for this diffuser to start going down anytime now.
Nice. Waiting on the angle, lurking and ready for the push to come around as he's seen the end of the gun barrel. He knows there's a player in close proximity and is just hoping they're going to swing wide, run into his crosshair, gift the frag back in favour of FURIA and let this game go on for a bit longer in this round, keeping it close at a 3-3. For now, though, it is that 4-on-3. They do have an advantage in terms of the manpower, but they still need to get the diffuser down. They have to secure the site. And the time in which they can do that in is starting to slip away from them. Lender's got quite a cheeky angle potentially here as well, and that's not ideal. Highs dashing it out on the follow-up there with a smoke can. This time it will go where he wants it to, getting it down. Smart play from the drone usage, though. This baits out Linder, and it completely ruins his life. The rotation's not going to work. He can't get down the hatch. He's now dead, dropping it into an even worse position for FURIA. The defense has gone from manageable to abysmal.
Not great timing there from Lender as he just drops the hatch and loses his head on the way down. 4 versus 2, but we have seen this site defended with man disadvantage before. Alemo, however, will start to get that diffuser down. A challenge needs to be made from underneath. Highs will get the kill onto Vitz, but it will be the wrong man. Alemo will still be able to get the diffuser down. 30 seconds left and 2 versus 3. Kills need to start coming in from FURIA very, very soon, but it is difficult. They are both moving from the white stairs, both moving from the same direction here, and that is always dangerous because you are only 1 or 2 bullets away from everybody being dead. And here comes the challenge into Attic. They know there's a man on the rotate. The challenge will come in, but VNX thinks better of it, just dips away, lives to fight another day, will get the kill onto Highs on that other day that he managed to buy himself. Drunks shuts down Fred. Round INTZ, they keep themselves fighting in this one. 5-4 now, and once again, just looks like it's going all the way to 12, Jackie.
We're playing them all out. Every round must be shown on air. Those are the rules of the LATAM lunacy. That is how we do it in Brazil. And that seems to be what we're getting here today, Tim. A 5-4 split on the scoreline. Every time you feel like they're going to lock the game down, get themselves ever closer to ending it, that's when INTZ start to slowly build themselves a step ladder back into the game. And now that step ladder has turned more into a double ladder, and they're up there cutting the hedges.
Heading back down to, up to dorms then for round number 10. Just thinking as I was talking there about exactly what FURIA can do differently here to try and make this defense successful. They've had 2 attempts already, round 7 and round 9. Neither have been positive for them. Drunks getting the plant in round 7, Alamo in round 9, and just being able to close the round out after that diffuser went down. Now, for me, Jackie, I don't feel like there's been a lot of attention paid to the mid-floor. They managed to get a kill from Highs there last time around, shotgun underneath. He got the wrong man. It could have been round winning, but unfortunately, he didn't get Alemo, who was planting the diffuser. So for me, that's potentially an option for FURIA here. I don't feel like INTZ have paid a lot of attention to that mid-floor roam clear, or they certainly haven't needed to. So maybe a minute 30, a minute 40 into the round, drop one of your players down, especially if you've got anybody with a nitro, which unfortunately they don't. So they don't have that vertical denial option, but they do still have the shotgun of highs. Maybe try and get him down there underneath with a minute left to go, where INTZ, they're too committed to the execute by that point. They can't dedicate the resources to going and clearing him out necessarily because the clock is running at that point, and then try for that vertical denial instead, because what they've been doing, it hasn't been working.
No, that's not at all. Something does need to change, or something will give. And what is going to give sooner rather than later is their chance of getting that solid 2-0 for FURIA. That's when things will slip away, and INTZ will just be able to come in through the sidelines, grab the game, and run away with it. In round 10, though, let's see where the opening pieces of the puzzle will come from. If there is going to be any solid opening frags this time around again from the attacking side of INTZ, or if the changes made by FURIA will benefit them. They've been keen with the clash. They have liked to pull it out a couple of times. And once again, Bursa is going to be rocking the big girl with a shield, holding to see if there is going to be any encounters. Alamo spotted out immediately. That's a lot of information gathered, and he's now effectively trapped. It's also just a matter of, does he just take it on the chin, take the initial damage that you're going to have through the electrocution coming out with a shield, or run away? Either one has its negatives. For now, he holds his ground, and it seems like they have backed off a little bit, not wanting to get too aggressive and give up any potential frags for free here in the first minute.
INTZ have got Attic opened up, so that is step one completed. There is a man still back out there at the rear stage as well, able to aggress or just draw some attention from the Attic side. And right now the pressure is certainly mounting on Master and Trophy from INTZ. They've got control of that area. Bursa being forced back with the shield in tow. And as you can see, there's a fear there just to make life difficult for that clash if pushing forward. Of course, the lifeline, the stun grenades will be successful to knock the clash shield out of her hands. So a bit of teamwork, and she can be challenged now. We can see the Seldoma device just completely opening up Attic. This is the way to do it. Get the smoke canister in front of the door so the device cannot be shot off the wall without a lucky blast of bullets finding their way onto it. But when you've got that open, that is then Attic completely clear and allows Duds to move across.
Time is now moving quite quickly, as we're almost at the 30-second mark. There won't be long left in this round. INTZ, you're putting yourself into a sticky predicament. It's all about timing at this point, as you cannot afford to mess up. If you're going for a grace period defuse plant, you're going to be risking it, because you have the potential of a backstab ruining your round in a matter of seconds. And that's where Aroma could really come into effect. Or if they can just hit their shots in the forefront or assault. Seems like Drunks might actually be able to get it off, but no, in the last second, he's punished. Then now it's all on Vitz. He has to grab the diffuser, he's got to plant it, he's got the grace period, but it doesn't matter. The peak will come around, he's spotted, knocked off his feet, and they lose out on it. They're running the risk, Tim. They're trying to go for that last second plant, but it's not working in that encounter. Overwhelmed by FURIA on the 5 versus 5. Didn't clear out the site. Didn't have any kind of edge there. The gamble has not paid off.
And how many times tonight has that gamble not paid off for them, Jackie? INTZ just leaving it very, very late repeatedly in this game to try and get that diffuser down. And it is just very rarely paid dividends for them. You know, we've seen them lose rounds more often than we've seen them win them based on those last 5-second plants. And ultimately, FURIA, they are making themselves a bit of a brick wall. They're making themselves very difficult to move around. The kills are not coming easily for INTZ. So, you know, that will be playing a part of why these executes are so late. But they need to figure a way, and they need to do it right now if they want to restrict FURIA's points. And that's all they can do here. FURIA guaranteeing themselves a draw and guaranteeing themselves at least 2 points. You can see up at the top of your screen there, Consulate 7-5 in the first matchup. Tough day for INTZ, but FURIA, they must be feeling pretty good right now. 3 points for stage 1 in total, Jackie. Guaranteed at least 2 from play day 1.
That's sick, man. It's really good to see. It's good to see the improvement in the downtime between stage 1 and the stage 2. The fact that the roster moves have been nothing but beneficial. It's clearly been able to bolster some of what was potentially a couple of gaps in the team with the old roster. Definitely just seems like things have worked out for them, and it could be a new FURIA going forward. Obviously, you've got to take it for what it is, though. A benchmark against INTZ. It's a bit harder to call because both of these teams did kind of struggle last season. Didn't really have the brilliant, elegant run that you would hope to see from the fact that they do have a lot of talent on either side. But as teams, it didn't really work out that well for them. FURIA, though, it does seem like things are going quite well. Into this round, will they get the most out of it? Can they capitalize, get a 7-4, end it now, and go away with that full 2-0 win? Don't run the risk of it having to be a draw here, and you only getting the one map win. Already whittling down the early contact, though, as Alamau and the Zofia peeking up, trying to run the risk, bobbing and weaving, but just taking bullets to slow him down. And the clash can also really make his life hell now. Tag after tag coming out from that shield. Normally, it would just be a little bit of a nuisance, but when you're that low already, it's the difference between surviving and dying.
Quick progress has been made into bunker from INTZ, but then they have just been completely stopped. They have come up against an absolute roadblock in the form of FURIA. They got in there after about 20 seconds, but we can see almost a minute later, they are still no further along. And that to me says that INTZ have recognised that they need to be quicker, they need to move quicker, they need to be getting those diffuser plants down quicker. But they are just unable to do it. They're unable to crack the nut. And right now, Bursa, he's making himself an absolute nuisance with that clash there, preventing them getting into bunker. But there isn't really time for INTZ to make any meaningful rotation here. Pressure is going to be applied from rear stage as well, but shots will be exchanged. And that just feels like the look so far for FURIA today. Novice managing to dip away with his life and just keep things intact there, even though shots were exchanged.
FURIA, black and blue in a couple of places. Novice and Bursa both have had a couple of scrapes, but the same could be said for Alamau Duds and VNX. They're not in a great spot. Everyone is so close towards one another as well that when contact kicks off, it again could be that tragic domino effect of bit by bit, everyone falling over very, very quickly here. There's 30 seconds left. FURIA, they this round. They have to hold on to the game, but they're letting it slip away as Vitz is going on a spree. Frag after frag. The man is single-handedly closing it down, but in the end, it'll be Duds for the final frag onto Fred, and it stops them once again, denying FURIA from shutting down the game. It's not going to end there. Now, Tim, we are in the danger zone. This is a scary position to be in because the draw is now a likely outcome.
It's very possible. Vitz coming in with a massive 4K there. Great plays from him just to really turn up the pressure and aggress into sight when his team were seeming to stall out a little bit. But then a few kills within 5 seconds certainly opened the door for them, and they were able to step through and get the round onto the board. 6-5, we find ourselves and heading once again, as promised, into round number 12. And that is going to be all 48 rounds across 4 maps that we have seen so far tonight. Can we see the full works, Jackie? Can we go all the way to 72 rounds?
At this point, I feel like it's got to happen. I feel like it's what the people want to see. It's how close and competitive the season's going to be. And it also backs up what Bodega said. Every team in this league this season is good enough to be here, is super solid. And there is a reason why they are in this league. All of them can give us some ridiculously impactful siege. There is so many matchups, so many storylines as well that follow on from the major and from last season, and we're seeing it. We're seeing that they have that unrelenting fight in them the whole time, Tim. Even if it is mistakes, even if it is a couple of sloppy plays being thrown into the mix, there is a drive between both of these teams. For FURIA, though, it's up to them now to close it out, overcome those instincts and shut down the game. If they don't, this is where INTZ can slip in and at the very least get a draw out of it and starve off those extra points. Best case scenario, you make it worse in the long run for FURIA now.
As happy as they'll be to get the win on the board, I am fairly sure that FURIA will be kicking themselves a little bit if they don't take all 3 points here. The opportunity has definitely been there for them, and as much as INTZ have put up a great fight, they've kept themselves in touch. None of these maps have been easy for FURIA. They've had to fight tooth and nail to get the rounds on the board. Ultimately, it's been there for the taking. And, you know, to be able to come out with the same number of points that you got in an entire stage last time around after only the absolute first play day, that is a huge opportunity for FURIA. And as I say, they will be ecstatic with 2 points, I am sure. But the possibility to get 3 and that slipping away from them, I'm sure that will bite at them for a little bit. I'm sure that they will keep that in mind going into the future matches. Now, 1 minute in, we are yet again seeing another slow start to the round. It's been a real characteristic of this game between FURIA and INTZ has been those long periods of time at the beginning of the round before we see those entry kills. And it really does speak of one of two things, really. A lack of confidence on the side of the sites to go in and take those entry battles. But I don't think that's the case because, you know, we've seen some absolute great openers so far. Really, I think it just speaks to the passion of both teams and not wanting to lose this as much as they want to win it. So, you know, wanting to get themselves established and play a methodical game before sort of going headlong into trouble.
The trouble might sneak up on them. There's about 1 minute and 15 left here. Time's turning relatively quickly, but we haven't really had much of an encounter between either side. FURIA definitely playing a more reserved game here into what could be the last round of the game, potentially deciding either their victory or the draw. They're just holding towards the side. They're playing quite far back on angles, supporting one another on crossfires. This is where it gets scary, though. Drunks on the ace. Look at him. Already sprinting his way back around. Getting ready to use another one of those cans to decimate every wall and open up gigantic holes in their hard defense, making it awkward for them to play set crossfires and hold their angles. But they're ready for this oncoming attack. It looks like Lender on the close right there, waiting for the push to come around from Duds, as he's going to hold strong. 30 seconds left, Tim. 5 on 5. This is going to be a bloodbath to decide the outcome of the game.
We are in for a brawl, no two ways about it, but who will come out swinging? That is the question to answer right now. FURIA, they are just holding their angles. They are ready to pounce. 13 seconds left to go in INTZ. They have to do something here. Out comes the Toxic Vape canister, but also the smoke utility, allowing Drunks to get into a position to get the diffuser down. Fred gets a kill onto Vits. Bursa, Fred reining them in, and that is now 5 versus 2. Diffuser cold on the ground, and it is all in the direction of FURIA as they take a big 3-point win to start themselves off in what is stage 2 of the Campeonato Brasileirão. Fantastic start for Lender and even more so for Novice. They really have settled in quickly.
Oh, they popped off. They played fantastic there. A huge result, winning the game in that fashion. You had the newcomers to the team performing incredibly well over on Consulate, and then you've had a great display